Hi guys, welcome to Pietra Ligure. We are here for round 3 of the E-EDR and the first round of the E-EDR here in a brand new location. Not brand new, Jesse, but brand new-ish for us. I'm here with Jesse Melamed, the one and only, the world champion, the man, the myth, the legend. Jesse, we're racing in Pietra Ligure this year. We've spent almost 10 years racing in Finale, which has always been an amazing scenario, amazing trails. We're shocked every time at how many new trails they come up. What does it feel like to race here in Pietra? We've been here before, but is it refreshing?
Yeah, for sure. It's got some of the personality of Finale, but it's a little bit more rough. And it's kind of cool because Finale is just getting so fast and so bedded in. It's so many riders traverse those trails that they're almost polished. So it's kind of cool to come to Pietra, and it's a little bit more raw and what Finale maybe used to be when we came here, 10 years ago. So
there's so much riding around here and so much varied terrain. Is it a good thing to explore these new zones and check out the varied terrain? And do you think that will help the growth of this Finale outdoor region?
For sure. I mean, I think Finale's got it like pretty made up, and no one's ever upset to go there every year. They got everything: the beach, the food, the wine, the people, the trails. So yeah, it's nice to be there, and it's nice to be here. I think having the different trails is really cool, and it's cool for us because we get to explore new zones, and even if it's the same view, it's like slightly different. So I know we've seen the DH men view enough times, so it's good to have a new one here.
No one's mad about it though.
No.
Speaking of here, we have a pretty epic course here lined up for the E-EDR. 6 stages, almost 3,000 meters of descending, just shy of 2,000 meters of climbing. Stage 1 starts with a brutal, almost 10-minute monster.
Yeah.
Slightly shortened from the originally planned stage, but how do you manage such a long physical stage?
I mean, it's always the question. I feel like I'm 10 years into this and I'm still trying to figure out the pacing of these stages, because I really don't think you can pace them.
Right.
Anytime here, they're not so steep. We've had way steeper tracks where like you really have to pace yourself because your arms will blow up and you'll just start losing so much time at the bottom. So this one, it's not quite like that, but it's really physical. There's a lot of pedaling in the middle and there's a really big climb at the end. So they shortened it, which is kind of almost nice because the climb at the end, you can just go full gas, and like I'm just gonna ride haggard at the bottom a bit, but I think I'm just gonna try to expend as much energy as I can on that last climb. Because
that climb, is it something you wait for, or you just get there and send it? You don't have a choice anymore? We don't
have a choice anymore of like really easing into a stage. It's just like flat out stage 1, you have to go full gas. Everyone's going so fast now, so I mean that's what we train for. The training's just getting better, and so you just got to go and hope you can hold on to the bottom.
And the race course feeds it to you. We got another stage 2, which is almost just as brutal, really. A little bit, probably not as much sustained climbing in one hit, but probably just as much climbing across the board, really.
Maybe. I didn't
undulating
notice that.
top.
Yeah, I'll have to look at my GoPro, but definitely rougher. My hands were a lot more sore on that stage than stage 1. It was just a little bit more rough and kind of steep, so you're braking, you're getting those impacts like under braking, and that really adds up. And it takes away from your energy, and then you got to pedal, and it's sick. Like I love the long stages. You really get into a flow a little bit more, and you can kind of have some breathers, enjoy what you're doing maybe a little bit, and both those stages are top notch.
Almost 10 minutes. We're almost talking about 20 minutes-ish, 18 to 20 minutes worth of racing in just the first 2 of 6 stages. Yeah. What are you looking for in stages like this? It's impossible. We've raced this stuff for years. It's impossible to memorize 10 minutes of stage, but what are your key triggers to manage a stage like that? Are you looking for the high lines? Are you thinking about yourself and your braking points? Is it more about control, or just send it down there like a ping ball and hold on? My
plan is to, at the top for sure, not override it, because you can really push, but you're coming into a lot of these kind of flat, blindish corners, and if you brake too much, you just have to pedal again. Right. So almost approaching it from like a slow is fast mentality and really find smooth speed and hopefully not make too many mistakes.
Which is not slow. You're not slow at all.
The problem is when you choose that though, and then you still brake check yourself, you're just losing time. So you got to be like really, really focused if you want to do that. For stage 1 though, just try to do that and then start to attack as you get down to the bottom. And kind of with these 2 long ones, it's nice. I'll see where I stack up on stage 1 after that. And then if I'm slow, I just none of that. Just go full gas for the second one. So
from the 2 monsters, like we said, about 20 minutes, probably less really. We're looking at maybe 8 minutes each stage there, somewhere between 8 and 10. We get into the shorter, sharper, quicker ones. Is it almost more difficult? Stage 3, short, sharp, bit weird, and then straight into stage 4, which is pretty wide open and fast, but just as weird.
Yeah, those ones they're gonna be scary. 4 is flat out. That is like, in practice, I was like, you can just go as fast as you want. It just feeds it to you, just asking like, okay, don't brake.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, because they're so short, there's no chance to like have a breather. Like it's just full gas. It might get a little bit loose, like we saw on those stages. Like they're loose now, and with everybody and you guys kind of going through them, you got to be really heads up for those stages, because you'll take speed and then know that there's a corner coming and think it's there, but it might not be there. So you got to go really fast, but you got to look really far ahead. And with these trails, on those ones especially, you can, because there's not too much greenery and stuff. So
and the speed you pick up, you have to wash off that speed. And that is that another thing? You look for triggers, almost like a car race. You look for somewhere like, right, I need to set up high here. I need to brake early here. It gets tight. Or there's bits where you don't brake at all.
On those short ones, it's key to definitely, like, you can kind of memorize a bit more. So like, I'll know like, okay, it's fast, fast, fast. And then like, I'll have a tree marker of, I know on that, I think it's 4, there's this really sharp left-hander that comes out of nowhere. And so you have to have like some sort of thing in the bush where it's like, you watch a GoPro and you're like, that one, that one, that one. And then you get in the race, like, oh yeah, that one, brake. And then huck a left. So hopefully you remember those.
We're all trying our best. So we got Monster 1, Monster 2, we get back into the short sharp, stage 3 and 4 on the far side of Finale, and then we get back into the Pietra, far side of Pietra. We get back over to this zone for 5 and 6 for you guys, which is quite different in terrain. It's we start off in the high alpine, quite a bit of dirt, a lot of roots. It gets rockier, it gets faster, and then over here it's a wild massacre of all kinds of stuff. What are you looking at for 5 and 6?
It's interesting. It feels like maybe it was easier to build over there, but there's a little bit more bench cutting down on those ones. So I found there was a bit more support and a bit more flow, and it wasn't as raw. Like 4 was almost just like blowing apart rock. And it was just wild. But 5 and 6 had some really cool flow, and like 5, I was like, we practiced that first this morning. I was a bit not awake yet, so didn't do great on that one. But 6, once I got into it, like it was super fun. Like it was good flow, tech, tight, steep, and like just enjoying it. So those ones, if I feel good in practice, like I did, and have the flow, it's just doing the same thing and trusting that I did it once, I'll do it again, and just adding a little bit more speed to it, and hope you can hold on. And like we've said, I'll pick up corners like in practice where I was like, oh, that one was loose. And so I'll know, pick up speed, but when those corners come up, like, you know, ease up, because you know like that thing's gonna be blown. If it was starting to be blown in practice, it's gone by race.
True story. And you talk about picking up speed, you ride at a certain level in practice. What are you focusing on? Are you focusing on just that extra effort for pedaling, the earlier braking, just the overall aggressiveness across the board?
Yeah, it's just aggressiveness. I think like we set our bikes up to be working at speed, and so they kind of work better when you really push it. And everything works better. You know, once the clock starts, you know you're a racer. It's just you zone in and everything gets better.
Absolutely.
So you just somehow find another gear. That's what racing is. That's why we love it.
What are you going to change with your bike setup? We talked about the varied terrain, short, sharp stages, the long stages. You need to think about your body on the long stages, but they're so short and sharp. It's all about speed, all about power. What are you going to change and adapt across the day?
These ones are. They're very diverse, but they're similar enough. I won't change much throughout the day. I've done a bunch of testing in Finale over the last week, so my bike's set up, and coming from home, I dropped my bars a bunch because it's not quite as steep, softened my suspension a little bit. So yeah, I had the data on today just to like make sure my bike is balanced, and that's where I wanted, and make sure really here all those flat corners you want front end grip. And so I'm really targeting that, because the bulk and majority of these stages is just corners.
It's all about corners.
So I was struggling a little bit on some of the steep, choppy stuff, but if 90% of it is my bike is set up for, I'm happy.
Happy days. So we also have not only a Monster E-EDR, 6 stages, almost 3,000 meters here, but we also have the e-bike first round of the World Series here, which is about 3,300 meters of descending, just over 2,000 meters of climbing, 9 stages. So the 6 stages of the EDR race, plus an additional 3 stages. So 1 extra downhill stage over here in Pietra Ligure, and then 2 power stages, which are at the start of the day, underneath stage 3 and the EDR stage 4. And we also have a power stage on the Pietra side, which is stage 6. So very big day for both categories. Excited to go racing myself. Excited to see Jesse racing back here in Italy. It's always good to be back in Italy, no doubt. We've also got second round of the UCI World Cup marathon race here in Pietra Ligure. So that will be a massive occasion to see that race back here in Finale, almost back to the roots of the 24-hour days, almost 10, 20 years ago. So it's fantastic to see that back here for round 2. Humongous course, 100 kilometers, almost close to 4,000 meters of climbing. So that's a big, big old day. Stay tuned to the UCI Mountain Bike World Series YouTube page, social media channels, and we'll see you on trackside.